Hello, hello. Three faces have appeared on screen instead of the usual one at a time, guys. Anna, I'll leave it over to you now.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us at Green Tech Southwest today. We have just been doing some last-minute scrambling behind the scenes. So for those of you that are regular visitors to Green Tech Southwest, you're normally used to Ellen doing a little bit of a preamble, warming you all up, asking you to introduce yourselves before we get started. But for reasons we've not had chance to do that today, so we're just going to kind of jump in and get straight on with it because we know it's lunchtime and everybody will want to get back to work within the hour. So I am going to bring on the slides and do our official welcome to you all today. Great. Well, welcome everyone to Green Tech Southwest. Thank you so much for joining us. Do feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. I can already see a few of you already have. So hello to Andy, to Christine, to Jack, and to Livia. Big welcome to you. And we know that there's lots more of you there lurking as well. Hi, Diana. So do tell us where you're calling in from today. Introduce yourselves. We love a chatty feed. It's what Green Tech Southwest is all about when we're online. So we're here today to hear Ruth's talk. Before we get into that, we like to do a little bit of community stuff. So the first thing we'd like to say is a big thank you to AdLib Recruitment, who sponsor our Green Tech Southwest events. So thank you to AdLib. We are also on social media, GreenTech_SWest on Twitter and GreenTechSW hashtag on LinkedIn. So if you're on Twitter or LinkedIn, feel free to follow us there, and we will have the fantastic Joe Mawson from AdLib doing live tweeting for us as well, so you can follow along the talk on Twitter. Just a little bit about us. So we are your organisers, the three of us on your screen, Ellen, myself, I'm Hannah, and Mike. We're all saying hello. You might notice that we're in sort of some slightly casual gear today. Some running gear, in fact. We will explain that after the 60 seconds when we do the 60-second slot. Although, Mike, I might just encourage you to stand up just to let people see maybe your full, there we go, your full t-shirt, just as a little teaser as to why we might be in running gear. And we'll explain it all in a sec. Anyway, you're not really here to know too much about us. But what we do like to tell you about is a little bit about Green Tech Southwest and our meetup, why we exist. So myself, Mike and Ellen, the three of us on the screen, set up and created Green Tech Southwest as a place to share insight and generate discussion on how technology relates to the environment. We always planned to be a physical meetup, but you know, COVID happened, so we're online. And the wonderful thing about us coming online, and something that we see as very serendipitous, is how many people from outside of the Southwest region are now able to join us for our events. So wherever you are calling in from today, you are super welcome to be a part of the Green Tech Southwest community, and we are really glad to have you here with us. So thank you. We aim to create an open and inclusive ethos with Green Tech Southwest. We do have a code of conduct and we do have a constitution, which are now appearing in the comments. I think I'm pointing the right way. I never know which way. Look, the long and short of the code of conduct and the constitution is be nice to each other, be respectful to each other. We know that sometimes our events can create really animated discussion, and we really welcome that. But we ask that that discussion is always respectful and that you consider that somebody else's point of view may be different to yours, but that's not necessarily wrong. So yeah, we just ask you to bear that in mind. I think today's session, well, I don't know what you in the audience will know about neuroscience and what opinions you may have on it. Let's find out in the comments. But you know, as we say, just keep the banter friendly and keep the comments friendly. So that's a little bit about Green Tech Southwest, why we exist and how we operate. And last summer we set ourselves up with a website, greentechsouthwest.org, and you can access all of the past speaker content there, including an interview that we did with Ruth ahead of today's talk, which we would normally have dropped in the preamble that Ellen did. So I'm totally, being fluid here and hoping that either Mike or Ellen could drop it in the comments now. So we can share that with you. So our website's full of really useful stuff. Nice one, Ellen, thank you. And including a really interesting interview that we did with Ruth. Okay, so moving on. One of the things that we always do at the start of our events is a section called Community 60-second intros. So if we were physically together in a room, this would be akin to you standing up and introducing yourself and saying, "Hi, I'm Hannah, I'm working on this," or "I'd like help with something," or "Hey, I recently came across this resource, which is really interesting, and I'd really like to share it with you." So the 60-second intros are very much about us inviting you on the screen now, enabling your camera and your microphone, and allowing you to make any one of those kinds of announcements. So do we have any takers for a 60-second community intro slot today? If there's someone there that would like to, please let us know in the comments. And even if you're new to Green Tech Southwest, you're very welcome just to come on screen and go, "Hello, this is me. This is what I do." So let's see. I'll give you a little bit of time to see if anyone would like to come on. Sometimes we have loads, like I think our last session we had, what was it, six or seven, and today everyone is perhaps feeling a little bit shy, which is fine. It's understandable. Oh, Livia, thank you so much. Someone has put their hand up. Thank you so much, Livia, for being brave and offering to do a community 60-second intro. So, Livia, you will have a little invite, little box. There we are. You're here. You've found it.
Hi everyone. Can you hear
Livia,
me?
We can, and we can see you clearly as well. Fantastic. So 60
Hello.
seconds. Over to you.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Livia. I'm working for Nevo Digital, and we are a Bristol-based company, digital marketing company, and we also do website design. And we came across your organization a couple of months ago, and ever since we just love attending your amazing presentations. And one of the reasons we are very interested is that we ourselves trying to set up a new service, sustainable website design, and we just try to soak up all the awesome information so we can launch our business, which is coming very soon. So if you're interested, obviously just pop onto nevo.co.uk and or get in contact with one of us. We'll be very happy to talk to you about our plans and how we trying to add to the sustainability world.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. And we're
Thank you for the
really
opportunity.
glad. Oh, pleasure. Thank you, Livia. And nice that our stuff is useful.
Oh, absolutely. I'm loving it. I'm coming from a deep sustainability background, and I feel really lucky to have a chance to listen to a really good quality and high quality presentation. I feel, yeah, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. That's really, really nice. Okay, Livia, we're going to say goodbye to you.
Bye,
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I think we have Christine on the screen.
Yeah, you do. Yes. Thank you very much
Christine.
For inviting me in. So the first thing to say is one of my daughters is a neuroscientist, and I'm desperately trying to keep up. So that's one reason I'm here. The other is that I chair the advisory board of something called Positive Planet UK, and we are working out where we can really add value in the green tech space. So not repeating what everybody else does. So I learn a lot from these sessions and just wanted to say thank you very much. That was less than 60 seconds, I know.
No, that's great. I mean, that's always good because that means we can invite more people. Thank you, Christine. We've got all the love for Green Tech Southwest today. This this is so nice. If anyone hasn't been to Green Tech Southwest, you don't have to come on and say how wonderful we are, but it is also really nice that people are. So thank you, Christine. Do drop your details in the chat as you're a regular, so you know to do that. And if anyone would like to follow up with you, then they can. Fantastic. Oh, I'm feeling all kind of like a bit gooey and a bit mushy. This is all very nice. Okay. We had a few others who said they would like to come on screen and introduce themselves. So John.
Yeah, John is on the way, I think.
Fantastic. Also one of our regulars. And Livia, do feel free to reshare your details about what you were working on. I think you may have done it earlier in the comment feed, but don't be afraid to repeat yourself. It does help people. The comment feed can move quite quickly.
Got a slight delay with John, so I think if we go to Andy and we'll try and get John on in a minute.
All right, fantastic. Good thinking, Mike. We'll keep the 60 seconds flowing. And then I think we also have Simon as well. Cool. And then I think we'll cap it at the 5 today. Although it is a shame that Diana has mentioned there in the comments that she hasn't had success before. Fantastic. So Andy, welcome.
Hi guys.
Welcome to Green
I'm one
Tech
of the I'm one of the further afield members of Green Tech Southwest. I'm based in the French Alps. I'm a freelance web designer, moving more and more into low carbon, sustainably designed websites, focusing on user experience and page loads and all that good stuff. This is the second session I've been on to at Green Tech Southwest, and I always see loads of like really engaged, like brilliant people to get involved with, and yeah, loving your work. At the moment, I'm supporting a couple of eco-friendly charities or sort of not-for-profits in the French Alps, and working on different projects on sort of within the sustainability space. And I'll drop my LinkedIn profile onto the chat. If anybody would like to connect and find out more, I'd love to have conversations about it. So thanks a lot, and keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you, Andy. Thanks for nice to meet you, by the way, because we do sort of connect and chat a little bit on LinkedIn as well. So it's nice to see you sort of in the video context. And well, Del, that you're in the Alps, but that's a conversation for another time. All right, fantastic. So again, lots of love for Green Tech Southwest today, and lots of interesting and varied people popping their heads up and saying, hi, this is something I'm working on, this is something I'm doing, feel free to connect. And that's what we love to see, and very much what these slots are all about. So I think we're going to hope for John again.
Yeah, I've invited Simon and John, so
all right.
hopefully one or two on the way.
Fantastic. Okay. John's saying he doesn't think his camera is working. All right. Fair enough. That's a shame. It would have been nice to have had you on. John, I don't know which browser you're in, but Chrome does tend to be the best for that. And fantastic.
Ooh, I might be working.
John, you're here. Well done. Amazing. Right. We can hear and see you, John.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can. Yay, it's working. Okay, good. Hi, I'm John Gibbons. I run a company in North Somerset called accessibility.co. We help organisations, purpose-driven organisations and profit-driven organisations, you know, got to have a bit of both, to embed accessibility in their organisations to make their products and services more accessible to disabled people. And we like to focus on helping good causes. So we're working with a variety of organisations at the moment, providing training and ongoing guidance in helping digital products become more accessible. I'm also the founder of Greener Digital, trying to promote the greener use of digital. So I do that via Twitter, greener_digital, and loving everything that Green Tech Southwest do, and really happy to be here again. I don't know how many of these I've been to now, but a few to say the least. Anyway, yes, I just saw Andy's message pop up. We should definitely have a chat at some point, Andy. Anyway, thanks for having me.
Oh, John, thank you so much. I know you've been I think possibly with us right from the beginning. So it's really nice that you've come on and done a 60-second intro today. And John, you mentioned a number of initiatives you're working in there. I'm sure you will, but please try and pop them in the comments so other people can follow up with you. And so Simon is having fun with technology, don't we all? Having a bit of a browser issue. So let's see. We'll just maybe give Simon another sort of 30 seconds to see if that's going to work. Otherwise, we shall progress on. I have to say, Mike and Ellen, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling kind of really nice about all the love we're receiving today.
Yeah, it's great.
So thanks, everyone. It's really nice.
It's not to say it's unusual, but it's very, very gratefully appreciated.
It is. We do work hard.
Yeah.
And sorry,
Warm
Ellen.
and fuzzy.
Yeah.
Feeling warm and fuzzy.
Okay. I think we might need to move on. Otherwise, we're going to unfortunately run behind, and it's lunchtime. So we really do try and get everything wrapped up by 1:30. So Simon, I am so sorry that we're going to have to move on from your slot. But, you know, as always, please do leave your details in the chat about what you wanted to say or the introduction that you wanted to make today, and we'll make sure that that's circulated. So Ellen, I think maybe we might say goodbye to you because you need to log off and log back in because tech. So we'll say cheerio to you for now. And Mike, you're going to hate this bit. I know, I'm so sorry, but we're going to embarrass you. So we wanted to do our own little 60-second intro today. So Mike, our long-term, buddy, organizer of Green Tech Southwest, is amazing and is running his 27th marathon at the end of the month to raise funds for ME research. So Mike set out on this crazy challenge back in 2015 to run a marathon in each EU country to raise funds for ME research. And he's very humble about it, doesn't say much. We've never pushed this through the Green Tech Southwest community before because we're here to talk about Green Tech Southwest. But I'm afraid that we decided today we were going to embarrass Mike and use our platform to raise awareness about the incredible work that he's doing. And if anybody would like to donate, Mike, I think you've raised about £35,000 and you're aiming to try and get that up to 42 by the end of your last run. So if anybody would like to donate, please do. Those of you that come along to our sessions will know that we often ask you to plant trees if you enjoyed today's session or you enjoyed what we're doing at Green Tech Southwest. Today, we're just going to switch that a little bit and say, if you have a spare few quid and would like to support Mike's ridiculous efforts, I don't know how. And Mike, you're not even a runner. You don't even like running like this.
No, I really don't.
This is the ridiculous thing. It's hard to impress upon people just how mad Mike is for doing this. And so myself, Mike and Ellen decided to wear running kit today in sort of honour and support of your amazing efforts, Mike. So well done to you for everything that you do. And I'm going to stop embarrassing you now because I know you'll be hating every moment.
Thanks, Hannah. I'm going to get you back one day for this, but yeah,
all right,
much
fine,
appreciated.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to do anything as silly as you though, but there we go. All right, so we've done with our preamble. We are now ready to invite the fantastic Ruth onto the stage. So I'm going to say goodbye and Mike is going to introduce Ruth.
Hello.
Right, great stuff. Thanks, Ruth. Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good stuff, very good. Yeah, thank you for sticking with us. We are a little bit later than scheduled, but yeah, we're very excited to hear all about neuroscience today. So yeah, we're really excited. Just a reminder to everyone, if you have questions for Ruth throughout the talk, if you can pop them into the Ask a Question section, and then just vote your favourites really, and we'll try and get through as many of them as we can. ahead of time. If there's loads and loads, we will put them to Ruth on email and hopefully get those answers to you in our roundup, which will come out at a later date. So yeah, so please, yeah, do get your questions across. There'll be some polls throughout as well, which you can take part in, but don't let any of that spoil your enjoyment of Ruth's talk, which I'm sure is going to be fantastic. So Ruth, I'll hand over to you, and I'll remain in the background if we have any technical issues, but other than that, yeah, best of luck.
Thank you. Oh, hang on. Let me just, I've got myself in double. Hang on. Right. Oh. 2. Cool. Can everyone hear me okay? Sorry, I've just realised I had it on my phone as well, so I was getting twice. So before thanks for inviting me. I'm Ruth. I'm the founder of Sustainable Results Lab. And we help marketing green tech businesses with their marketing and communications in a way that is helps them be more sustainable. So one thing we're really passionate about is making sure that sustainable businesses are the most successful ones, and using the science of decision making to help you really connect and build a stronger relationship with your target customers or audience. So before I get going into the presentation, I thought I'd just do a little experiment with you. So I'm going to tap out a song, and I'd like you to guess what that song is in the comments in the chat, please. So here we go. Can anyone identify the song? And it would be totally normal to say no. So that was in fact ABBA, Dancing Queen. Dancing Queen. Now this replicates an experiment that a student in psychology, Elizabeth Newton, conducted in 1990 at Stanford University. And when she did this experiment with 120 songs were tapped, and the Harvard University students predicted that they would guess 50% of the songs from the tapping. In actual fact, they only guessed 3 songs correctly. So there was a big mismatch between the song, but they're thinking that they'd be able to predict the songs just from from the tapping to actually being able to do it. Now this illustrates a really, really important point, which is once we know something, it's really, really hard to imagine not knowing it. And we say that our knowledge has cursed us. So this bias is known as the curse of knowledge. And Ellen's just put a link to the Harvard Business Review article about the research in there. So we have difficulty sharing our knowledge with others because we can't readily recreate the state of their mind. So this means that if we're trying to, market our services, communicate our services, persuade people about how fantastic our green tech services are, we can suffer from enormous information biases. So we can find it really, really hard, even with the best will in the world, we can find it really, really hard to put ourselves in our customers' shoes and understand where they're coming from. And particularly when we're communicating really technical solutions or products or services, that can be a real curse of knowledge and actually stop us growing our business. So when you combine that with something called confirmation bias, the ability people actually seek out information that they already agree with and that confirms their existing beliefs, that can make it even harder to persuade people to make the switch to sustainable products and services. So my hope is today that by sharing some of the science of decision making, I'll be help you to understand a bit more about how you can make more impact with your marketing and communications. So when we talk about the science of decision making, what we're talking about is using insights from neuroscience, behavioral insights, psychology, anthropology to really put ourselves in the shoes of other people and understand how they make decisions, and then use that in a way that's really ethical, nothing complete opposite of greenwashing, to help people choose genuinely sustainable solutions. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. If you've got any questions or thoughts or comments, just put them in the chat and we'll look at them. Cool. So you should be able to see my screen now. So first off, we're going to look at neuromarketing and how to grow business growth. So again, we just want to run another quick experiment with you. So which shadow corresponds to the image on the left? I think Ellen's going to put up a poll, but if not, have a little vote. And then most of you will probably have chosen D, which it is. But what's interesting here is that your brain it's likely that your brain has actually solved the puzzle like this up to as much as 8 seconds before you have that conscious aha moment. Now, this tells us something really, really important about how our brains work, in that actually our unconscious brain is driving a huge amount of decision making before we're actually consciously aware of it. So I don't know how many of you have come across the work of Daniel Kahneman in Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. Now, we use this as a really science-based framework for marketing because it really explains the science of decision making. So what basically he says is that 95% of all of our thoughts, emotions and learning occur before we're consciously aware of it. So when we're making decisions, or rational conscious cognitive processes have a surprisingly small influence. So that should have a big impact on how we communicate with customers, because if we think about it, the system 1 thinking is this 95%. It's unconscious, it's fast and it's automatic. In contrast, system 2 thinking is really, really hard work, and it's much slower and it takes time. So I always think of it a bit like when you're first learning to drive a car. You're using system 2 thinking because you've never done it before. So you find it incredibly difficult and you have to concentrate and it's exhausting. But by the time you've passed your test, you've moved into a lot of the mechanics of driving the car are in system 1. It's unconscious and it's fast and automatic, enabling you to focus on road safety. So what this means in practice when we turn to marketing and communication is that we need to focus first on appealing to our audience's emotions and unconscious needs. So it's not always bad to include factual details, as they'll help our customers' logical brains justify the decision. It's just don't expect that to make the decisions. So the big thing here is just to basically, we need to appeal to make sure that all of our marketing and communications appeals to our customer or audience's unconscious brain. And I always think of this as brain calories. So basically, when you have your website or your information, what you want is not to make sure that your audience, the person who's reading it, they shouldn't be using lots and lots of brain calories to understand the information. It should be really quick and easy for them, and then you're more likely to engage them. So this slide talks a bit more about the amygdala. So basically what we do is we want to make sure that people don't ignore your brand or your messaging. And so this easy to apply insight from neuroscience is the foundation for increasing engagement. So the amygdala is from the Latin for almond, and it refers to 2 tiny almond-shaped collections of neurons deep within the temporal lobe, one in each hemisphere of our brain. That's part of what's called the limbic system of the brain. And for those of us who aren't neuroscientists, that's the emotional center of the brain, so the epicenter of the 95% of unconscious thoughts that we're just talking about. You'll also hear people refer to it as the sensory brain. So why do you all need to know about this? Well, the amygdala acts as the brain's gatekeeper. So it's constantly filtering signals and stimulating a response. So it's preparing us to react or respond, to flee when we're threatened, or empathize when we're emotionally engaged. So when we see new information, we're subconsciously asking 3 questions. Is this a threat? Is this boring? Is this too complicated? So obviously, when we're talking to potential customers, we don't want their brains to think that our information is too boring or too complicated. What we want to do is arouse their interest and get past the brain's gatekeeper to provide a strong emotional response. So how can we do this more effectively? So this is where it gets really exciting. So what happens, we talk a lot about storytelling, and there's so much research that shows that the stronger your brand story and the stronger your story, the more memorable your brand or your messaging is going to be. And also the more people are willing to pay for that service. What's interesting is understanding how stories actually change the chemicals released by our brains. So humans are hardwired to respond to stories. And so neuroscience just tells us why that is. So this is a basic story arc. So the first step is you want to engage the audience and arouse their interest. And when we arouse curiosity and show the challenges that people are facing, the neurochemical cortisol is released. And then secondly, when you build empathy with your audience and show your audience that you really understand that the challenges that they're overcoming, then you their brains release the oxytocin, which you may know as the sort of the cuddle hormone, the feel-good hormone. And then by the end of a story where you show them how your service or your product or your story helps them overcome the challenges they're facing, then that can evoke feelings of hope, of wonder, joy. And then their brains are releasing dopamine, the feel-good chemical. So brands who apply this knowledge to tell compelling stories that people can engage with do better and matter more, and you're much more likely to see the results that you want. So for me, the really important thing here is really getting inside your customer's shoes. So starting with that really strong customer research to understanding what their challenges are and how you overcome them. And the really interesting thing for us in the green tech community is sometimes our challenges are different from our audience's challenges, and it's how you map that with how you take people on the journey that enables you to tell that stronger story and enable them to engage with your brand or messaging. So one of the most powerful ways to engage with that emotional brain is to start with why. So the core business of why the core belief of why your business exists, and that's a lot of you will know this. It comes from the work of Simon Sinek, and start with why. But there is a huge amount of research behind this principle. So it sounds really simple, but if you can make sure that, say, for example, on the homepage of your website, that you've got a really clear why as your strapline, you're going to be much more effective if you just starting on the sort of features or the sort of the technical details of what your product or service is. And this is something like when I'm working with sort of sustainable construction or green tech businesses, sometimes this can be something they struggle with, but getting it right enables you to create that much stronger emotional connection. Cool. So what I'd be really interested to know in the chat, and we can talk about it afterwards, is what challenges you face when you're trying to communicate green tech solutions. And then, because the idea of this science is to help you overcome some of those challenges. So as you're sort of sharing them, I thought I'd just share with you some of the 5 barriers to effective climate communication. And this comes from some research that was done in Norway. And what's really interesting here is that there are some inherent barriers in our brain when it comes to talking about the climate emergency. So these are just a quick summary. So first is distance. So net zero, for example, in construction by 2050, that can seem a long way away. So if you're talking about net zero in 2030, 2050, our brains have an inherent, that's likely, if we think about the amygdala, likely to make people, if they're not already engaged, make them switch off because it's a long way away and it's not near. Doom. So if you're framing the climate emergency in terms of cost and disaster, people are likely to feel anxious and shut down and are less likely to engage. And the third one is cognitive dissonance. So if people will feel uncomfortable when there's a gap between their beliefs and their actions. And again, that makes them less likely to engage if they feel like they can't actually make a difference. And that's the same around denial. Here, we're not talking about climate change denial, but people feel anxious if you acknowledge the impact of climate change. It is inherently anxiety inducing. And if we're feeling anxious, again, our brain is more likely to not engage with that messaging because it feels uncomfortable for us and we don't want to feel like that. And as I said at the beginning, the 5th challenge to overcome is identity. And you have a bias in our brain. We have a bias in our brains to seek out information that confirms our existing worldview. So that might all sound a bit depressing, but the great thing is that the science of decision making gives us some really practical tools to overcome that. And I find that the more you can, just frozen my screen. The more you can consciously think through this, and when you're thinking about your marketing and your communications, the more you can make your messaging more impactful. So there's 3 solutions here that I wanted to share with you. So the first is make it, and this all comes from the research. The first is make it personal. So use the power of social networks to reduce psychological distance. So make your messaging feel near and urgent. So connect with me now.
Sorry to interrupt, Ruth, but could you try sharing your slides again?
Okay, sorry. Cool, can you see them now?
Yeah, that's great. If you could
Sorry,
maximize.
is that maximized? Should be maximized now.
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Cool. Sorry, I think it's because I locked my screen, it came off. Okay, so here's 3 solutions for effective climate messaging. So yeah, making it personal, reducing that distance. The second is being supportive, so framing the information to tell stories that support positive action and show the opportunities to make a difference. So that can be something we've seen that, for example, with the take up of vegan food, which is fantastic for the climate, but actually by talking about the health benefits to me as a person, if I have a more plant-based diet, that is actually much more effective than telling me that it's going to save the planet in a distant time that I can't quite imagine. So it's thinking about how you can reframe information to be really supportive and support that action. And the third thing is enabling action, so countering the feeling of helplessness and cognitive dissonance by providing practical examples of things people like them are already doing. And there's a lot of research that shows that people feel like they're part of a movement. So we all feel like we're part of Green Tech Southwest. And that actually is such a powerful thing, because it makes us feel like if there's other people in the world of technology saying, don't be silly, green web doesn't matter, it's not important. You've got a community of supportive people that enables you to take action. And that supports best practice in green web design, for example. So it's just about really thinking about how you weave that into your messaging. Cool. So what I'd be really interested in is thinking about how you can apply, start thinking about how you could start applying this to the work that you're doing. I just wanted quickly though to share some more research around pricing, because this is really, really interesting. The neurologic of a pricing decision. This was a groundbreaking experiment by neuroscientist Brian Knutson. He's a professor at Stanford University, and he put volunteers in a brain scanner. They used brain imaging and to see what happens when they were shown pictures of chocolate, and then when they showed the price. Now, when they were just shown the picture of the chocolate, you can see in the left-hand image, you see a yellow colour, and that's the brain's pleasure centre activated. So it won't surprise you that chocolate is associated with pleasure in people's brains. But what happens when they then show them the price of the chocolates? Now, this is a very expensive box of chocolates, but when you show price, an entirely different area of the brain is activated, and that's known as the insula. And that's normally activated when we experience pain, like cutting our finger or being excluded from a group. So one of the things that we have to think about is how we enable people to see the value of our product or service to overcome the intrinsic feeling of pain that they associate with the price. And there is I haven't got time to go into it all now, but there's a huge amount of work you can do about thinking about how you present price. And one of the big things that makes the most difference is this. If you look at this circle, which one do you think of these orange circles is larger? Is it the one on the right or the one on the left? Now, the actual answer is they're both the same size, which tells us an important principle, that actually how you perceive size and price is actually relative to what you surround it by. So again, we don't have time to go into it now, but there is a lot of research that talks about how you can present pricing in a way that makes people see the value. And you'll see it most commonly in if you're ordering wine in a restaurant. So you'll often see a really cheap bottle of wine, a really expensive bottle of wine, and then a wine in the middle. And try it the next time you're in a restaurant. Often people choose the middle option, and restaurant owners know that people are more likely to do that, and that's actually often the wine with the most profit, the highest profit margin on it. But what the low-cost wine bottle and the high-cost wine bottle have done is made price seem relative. So you feel that middle option is really, really good value, and you choose it. And even though I know about that, I always do it, and so do my friends. But again, it's thinking about how you use that ethically to present. What some green companies do is use that knowledge to then make the sustainable option the most attractive option, and then encourage people to go down a more sustainable option by default. So that's, again, a really interesting area of research. Cool. So 3 ways to apply this knowledge. So using the power of persuasion to build a zero carbon economy. And that's obviously just a really quick snapshot of some of the core bits of the science. But where we find that it's really useful is firstly this developing that really deep empathy. So conducting customer research and looking at how you develop a sustainable growth strategy. So I've found that I've just been doing some research around the barriers to retrofitting in a community among businesses. And what was really interesting is the barriers that we found were totally different to what we thought we would find. But then we were able to develop a growth marketing strategy and outreach campaign that addressed those barriers directly and got people more excited about taking a step to be involved in the whole retrofitting agenda. The second is using this science when you're building your brand identity in a low carbon website. And again, I've seen a lot of businesses spend a lot of money on websites focusing on the technical side of things, but not thinking about how you make decisions. And if you could just incorporate both of them, you're going to have a much more effective return on the carbon, also return on your investment. And finally, the obvious thing is obviously just using that knowledge to strengthen your brand story, to create a really compelling brand story. And the exciting thing for me is that within the green tech community, you've got amazing products and solutions that are inherently exciting. It's just using that science to then create that engaging content. Cool. So I think that's it from, let me just, yep. So I'll put my email there if you want to get in touch. So that's it for now. So it'd be lovely to hear your questions and think about how you might start applying that in your work.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Ruth. That was really fascinating stuff. So yeah, round of applause for Ruth in the comments. Any sort of suitable emojis would be great. We've got any brains or some sciencey related emojis, but yeah, thank you so much, Ruth. Some really interesting kind of case studies that you've got in there as well. So lots of takeaways, I think, for everyone here. Yeah, just encourage anyone to add any questions. I've put one in myself.
I can see it's Andy asking, challenge to boil down an organisation's purpose into a snappy H1. And absolutely, Andy, and that's where I find with organisations that we spend quite a lot of time on it, is using the research to really understand what is your motivator. And that's, I think, where I'm finding sustainable businesses find it hard, because your motivator is about sustainability, but it might not be the motivator of your client. So like I was just doing some work with that's a property tech business, and they were looking to get more fund managers to use their technology, which is all about retrofitting, making more buildings carbon neutral. They were all excited about the tech, which is really exciting. But actually, when we looked at the research, we found that fund managers' big headache was actually making the wrong decision. Because if you make the wrong decision, that has huge impact for your fund and for the value of the pensions. So they actually, starting by talking to them about our tech helps you make defensible decisions, was more of a motivator than our tech will help you achieve net zero buildings. So you can then weave that into your H1.
Excellent, thanks for that, Ruth. We've got a couple in the questions section as you have a look through the comments. So I will just I'll fire this first one in from Simon. It says, fear often seems to be used in advertising. Buy this or this will happen. Where does this fit? Does the amygdala driving defensive responses?
Yeah, and you know what? It's such a good question. And because my background is as a journalist and an editor, and I am guilty of this. And I used to watch the metrics, look at the data, and a fear headline would always do better than a non-fear headline, and it's a really difficult balancing act. So, but I think the thing with sustainable businesses is that you've got to balance that about the fact that fear in terms of net zero and the climate emergency can be utterly paralyzing. So I'm finding, but the thing to do is to run tests. So what we do is use this science to create some hypotheses. So it might be around the fear thing, and then test it in a small way and then see what you get from your audiences. And I always find you get surprises. So we did something with sustainable construction, and we found a blog that actually said, I really struggle to understand what sustainable construction means, opened the doors, because it enabled lots of people to go, yeah, me too, I'm really struggling with what net zero in construction actually means. But we didn't necessarily expect that. We just had to test it, and then you were able to do more content around how to achieve net zero in construction. Oh, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you for that, Ruth.
But it is
thanks, Simon, for the question.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
people do
great.
cynically use fear to get a response, and I think it's our responsibility is to know that and then find a way around it.
Great stuff, thank you. We've got a question from Andy Davis. For smaller businesses, is this possible to do without consumer research?
Yes. Yeah, so the great thing is actually a lot of this doesn't have to cost a lot, because at the high end, you can put people in a brain imaging and put things on electrodes on their head and see the response. Now, most of us don't have the money to do that. So actually, yes, you can just what I often find, so when I do like a workshop with a team of engineers or green tech experts, the amount of knowledge in their head is incredible, absolutely incredible. So it is just, I find, extracting that knowledge, even if you're not doing customer research, extracting that knowledge from your team of experts, and then looking at that through this prism to then test in a really small way, test some of your messaging. So yeah. Because you all know, yeah, you don't have to do customer research, and just looking at your web metrics can give you quite a good idea. So, you know, you can do just a deep dive into what content people have been looking at, or, you know, what's the most popular content, and that will give you a gauge.
Lovely, thanks very much, Ruth. So a question which has been upvoted, can sustainable businesses be found guilty of greenwashing as well? How can this be avoided? I know this is a big topic. Yeah,
it's a massive topic. So, I mean, we run a check, so we wouldn't work with a business that we were worried was greenwashing, and I think that's for each business to make that decision. And I guess the thing that motivates me is seeing big brands that are trying to be more sustainable as a way of driving sales, using some of this science and knowledge to make them grow more quickly and actually doing a really good job. So you're seeing it in the fashion industry at the moment, where there's a lot of greenwashing going on, and it's making people make quick decisions. They see like this cotton is sustainable. You'll see little things on the website with messages that tell you why this is a sustainable choice, and you do it. And I've done it myself. And then you look into it and you go, oh my goodness, isn't that sustainable? So it's about knowing it, I think, and then using it for your business in a way that's really ethical. And that's why I think it's so important that as many businesses know about it as possible, so that we can all, if each one of us does a small thing to use this science to make our story more compelling, then together we can make more of an impact.
Brilliant. Yeah, great stuff. Thank you for that. Next question we've got, do very established sustainability brands use neuroscience in the way you've outlined today? Are they increasingly adopting these principles?
Well, that's really interesting, because that was one of my motivations for starting my business, was that I saw that a lot of brands are not using these techniques and tools, and certainly not using it in a really data-driven way. So I think some of the big consumer brands that are moving into sustainability and, you know, promoting their sustainability products are definitely using it, particularly in the fashion space. I'm seeing it, but it's less so within the green tech space, the more sort of B2B brands. And I see a lot of B2B brands struggling with their messaging, and actually just having a basic workshop to think through some of this and create some hypothesis could make the money that you're spending work much more effectively for you, even if it's something as simple as Andy was saying, like a really effective header one, you know, a top line on your website. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for that one. We just got one left at this point. So yeah, how do you think you can use the knowledge of neuroscience to ensure green tech businesses are the most successful ones?
To make your messaging stronger and resonate more strongly with your target audience. And that might be taking the insights to communicate more effectively with people. And I'm seeing some comments here saying that working B2B sales is a huge challenge, and creating some, what's this Dime saying, a cognitive dissonance between wanting to buy less and not just the sorts of substitute normal products. Absolutely. So I think it is about, with the green brands, you know, buy once, but you need to make those green brands messaging more effective. And actually B2B, this can work really effectively because it is about, I mean, like we mainly work in B2B, it is about that messaging and really connecting your messaging to the challenges that your audience is facing and where they're at and taking them on a journey. So yeah, as simple as like with a fund manager, understanding that their headache is, if I make a mistake, this costs me a huge amount of money. It can help you cut through the complexity of your solution.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you for that. We've got a very interesting question here from Simon Forsyth again, which I'll attempt to read out. So corollary question, can dream give the converse effect of fear? Does sketching a green, beautiful future get the amygdala to go all cuddly happy and drive climate positive behaviors? Backcasting from what we want to see in effect.
Yes, so there is a behavioural bias called future gazing that shows that if you imagine the future, you're more likely to make it happen. And the name of the organisation's gone out of my head, but there was an organisation in Bristol that run that competition to get people to draw what they wanted Bristol to look like. And that got people more engaged. So absolutely, so getting people to, and I think the thing there is that dreaming in a way that's empowering. So makes people feel like they can take actions. So, and it's one small step, makes it less overwhelming. So yeah. And I guess, Simon, the thing there is telling people, reinforcing to people that what they've done has made a difference in your messaging. So by doing this, you have had this effect, you've saved this much carbon, which has enabled, I don't know, more children to breathe easily if it's like a pollution product, for example. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great example. We've just got one more question then, and then I think we'll wrap up and invite in the back. So, this is from Christine. Can the neuroscience approaches be incorporated in AI ML on website communications?
Oh, Christine, that is such a good question. Do you know? I would love to develop my business actually, and actually is find out how to do that, but we're not there yet. But yes, I think there must be a way. So I've talked to people in AI and machine learning. I think there must be a way to do it, and that would be my dream, is to create like a gadget or a tool widget, a bit like I don't know if you've used Grammarly, that tells you whether you're using whether your copy is likely to do well in a search engine. There must be a way of using it, but we haven't got it yet. But that would be my dream, is to be involved in a project to test that out.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. I'm going to squeeze one more in if you feel okay, Ruth, with that. Just from Lydia. It says, Ruth, I seem to remember from a previous chat on another Green Tech Southwest meeting that you applied these principles on a website to clear the message and reduce the website size by large. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a really interesting thing for me, is thinking about when building a low carbon website, the clearer you are on your messaging, the clearer you are on, you can then have apply the less is more approach. So you can strip out the unnecessary content and plugins and create a much simpler user journey. So this should go hand in hand with creating simple user experience that is then and build you a smaller website. And that's what we look to do, is to try and I talk about, I don't know, I'd like to see more people talk about return on carbon in their website projects. So actually we should do everything we can to make our websites or our digital communications to reduce the carbon by implementing best practice in that. And we heard Benita talk about that in our last session. But things like reducing your images, you should do everything to do that, but then you should be thinking about, we've reduced the carbon footprint of this website as much as possible. Now we need to improve the return on it by improving the messaging.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much, Ruth, for that one as well. So yeah, thank you everyone for your questions, and Very well done, Ruth. Amazing talk, and thank you for fielding those questions. I know you're a little bit under the weather today.
Yeah, sorry, I've got COVID, so I'm not 100%.
Incredible, to pull off such an amazing talk and to field those questions. Yeah, we're really grateful for you. Going ahead today and delivering such an amazing talk. So
yeah,
thank
just
you.
to say to John,
for that.
that picture, this is exactly what I was talking about, is the Imagining a Zero Carbon North Somerset. That was absolutely brilliant and applied this science.
Brilliant. No, great stuff. And yeah, there's some more applause going on in the comments. So well done. And yeah, we'll invite Hannah back on. But yeah, once again, I'll disappear at this point. But yeah, thanks so much again, Ruth. And yeah, just a reminder to everyone that the talk will be available, and all the resources and everything that's been mentioned, Ellen will kind of wrap up and send out later today. So you'll be able to watch it again and have a look at the slides and everything. So thank you so much. And yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ruth. Amazing that you managed to do today's talk. You've made it to the end. Well done. There's a lot of love for you in the comments. Lots of people saying thank you, and you've got a lot of really interesting conversation going. We'll let you go, because I know when you've got a tickly throat, you don't want to be here chatting
Yeah, I
anymore.
should just say it'd be lovely if you want to keep talking about it, because it's lovely to meet people. Do connect with me on LinkedIn. Because things like the machine learning, can we do that? It'd be lovely to collaborate with someone on that, because I think that's super exciting. A lot of potential.
Ruth, are you able to drop your LinkedIn details into the chat? If not, we can do that for you, because we definitely have them.
Hang on, yeah, I can just do that.
Oh look, Ellen's already done it for you. So
oh, thank you.
Fantastic.
Sorry, I'm going a bit slower.
Don't worry, we're good on the old types. Ruth, thank you so much again for today. It was a great talk, and we really appreciate all of your support for Green Tech Southwest as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me along.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's about time. All right, Ruth, we're going to say goodbye to you now, and I am going to bookend today's session. As we always try and do at the end of the session, is just to let you know about other stuff going on within the green tech community that we think you might find interesting. So for those of you that are regular attendees at Green Tech Southwest, you'll know that we normally have a slide here saying, please plant trees if you enjoyed today's session. So once again, sorry, Mike, you're not on the screen to tell me not to do this. But once again, if you enjoyed today's session and you'd like to support Mike doing his ridiculous number of marathons to raise funds for ME research, that's our ask of you today. And we'll drop that Just Giving page link on again. Anyway, on to sort of like green techie Southwest stuff. There was loads of stuff I wanted to mention that's caught our eye. Two organisations that have been great supporters of Green Tech Southwest, and many of you will be familiar with, no doubt, but if you're not, definitely check them out. Climate Action Tech. So if you're working in tech, do check out Climate Action Tech. It's an ever-growing community of people. There's about 6,000 tech workers in there. Great place to ask questions, great place to feel amongst like-minded people. So Ruth mentioned, having a community of people that make you feel like you're not on your own with things is very much something I value a huge amount from CAT, from Climate Action Tech. And that's a global community for those of you based in Bristol, and we obviously appreciate not all of you are joining us from Bristol today, but for those of you that are joining from Bristol, do check out the Future Leap Network, which is one of the largest green business networks in the UK. And they also have loads of events too. They do loads of cool stuff. They list not only their own events, but member events too. So it's a great way of finding more things you can rock up to. And then I'm just going to quickly rattle through a couple of specific things that have caught my eye. Digital Cleanup Day is happening this Saturday. So if you know that you need to clean out some photos or, I don't know, analytics files, or if you've just got loads of stuff in digital storage, Digital Cleanup Day may help you to have a little spring clean. Next up, Wednesday, 23rd of March, Jerry McGovern, one of our past speakers, is doing a really nice session on Earth Experience Design. If you haven't come across Jerry's work and you're interested in low carbon websites, or you're interested in changing conversations around digital content and how it's produced and how much of it we have, I really recommend checking Jerry's stuff out. His book, Worldwide Waste, is a really good book. We also wanted to give a shout out to the Bristol Green Capital Partnership. We're very big fans of that organisation here at Green Tech Southwest. So if you're Bristol based and you're working for an organisation looking at how to reduce the environmental impact of the energy that you're using within that organisation, we'd recommend this event to you, the Intention to Action Clinic, all about energy. It's free to attend, and that's Tuesday the 29th of March, 2:30 till 4. And a couple of others, and then that's it for events. I had to sort of take a few off the list, actually. So I knew there was a lot. Bristol is hosting its own People Planet Pint meetup, which is for people within the sustainability sector. So it's wider than green tech. That's Thursday, the 7th of April. I think it's going to be Bedminster Way. Anyway, we'll share these slides and you can click on the link and check the location. And last but not least, again, very Bristol centric this week with all of our slides. For any of you coders out there, if you're thinking about attending Pixel Pioneers, which is a one-day conference in Bristol on Friday the 10th of June, I'm going to be there. I'm giving a talk, how to make digital services more sustainable, which I'm really looking forward to giving. And I have a discount code, GreenTechSW, and that should give you 10% off standard tickets. So feel free to use the code. Feel free to share it with anyone that you might know that might be interested in attending. And thank you, Simon has also dropped in a link to another event there from the Future Economy Network, Busting Carbon Jargon. That looks good. I think we could all use some help with that. Okay, so, and of course, the events that you really want to know about are the next Green Tech Southwest event. So we are doing something a bit different. We were very interested to do an event about sustainable agriculture and sustainable farming. And we found Ben Scott Robinson, who is the co-founder and CEO of the Small Robot Company. And he's a really awesome guy, actually, doing a lot of work around accessible tech. He's invented a phone for blind people and is now working on the Small Robot Company and is developing small robots to help make farming more efficient. I'm really, really excited about that, especially now that I live in Somerset, which is a very farming rural community. So I hope you can join us on Tuesday, the 26th of April, to hear Ben's talk about sustainable farming robots. And please hold the date. We finally have a date for the 15th, for our next in-person meetup, which will be actually a hybrid meetup. So it's Wednesday, the 15th of June. We're just working out the timings, but it's evening, 6 till 8. We're going to be holding it at the Engine Shed. We have Myrna Chujmir, from co-founder of Greener. She's a confirmed speaker. We have another exciting speaker in the lineup, but we haven't had confirmation from them yet. If you can't make it to Bristol in person, no worries. We're going to be online as well, so you won't miss out on that event. And we are so excited and so incredibly grateful to those companies that have offered to sponsor us for that event as well. And we'll have more details on that coming out soon. So hold the date, 15th of June. Oh, we can all be together again. It'll be wonderful. If you fancy getting involved with Green Tech Southwest, we always want extra people to come and help us. So if you design, do social media or video editing or any other role that you might like to take on with Green Tech Southwest, come and be Mike, Ellen or Hannah. Come and step into our shoes. You'd be very welcome to come and help organise Green Tech Southwest with us. So we're always interested in bringing more volunteers on. Vicky Smith, I can see you've asked the question about where can you find information on the Earth design. We'll drop a link. Oh, there we go. We've just dropped a link into that event for you now in the comments. And this slide pack will also be made available in our write-up on our website. And you'll be able to click on all the links in here as well. If you have any feedback from today, tell us about it. Best way to tell us is greentechsouthwest@sw@gmail.com. And I'm going to wrap us up there. and say a massive, massive thank you to Ruth today. What a hero. Not feeling very well, and the show still went on, and she delivered an absolutely excellent talk. So Ruth, a million thank yous to you. And of course, a million thank yous to all of the rest of you who have spent your time with us at the Green Tech Southwest community today. We never take our attendees for granted. We're always very grateful that you make time for us and that you come along and that you all engage so fully and so kindly with what we're doing here. So thank you to each and every one of you that have made time to come today. We really appreciate it. So anyway, here's to, what day is it? It's Tuesday, right? Tuesday afternoon. Let's hope that you continue to have a good day. Go well. We hope to see you soon and stay in touch. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye from us.